Imagine needing to send an urgent message hundreds of kilometers away, without a phone, internet, radio, or even a horse. How would you do it? For ancient humans, communicating over long distances was a serious challenge, but they developed surprisingly clever ways to make their messages travel farther than their voices ever could. One of the simplest methods was fire. At night, groups could use fires or torches to create visible signals from a distance. One fire might communicate one message, while a sequence of fires could represent another. When positioned on hills or other high ground, signals could sometimes be passed from one location to another. During the day, smoke signals could serve a similar purpose. Different patterns or numbers of smoke clouds could potentially communicate warnings or announcements. The exact meaning depended on the culture, but the basic idea was simple: create something visible from far away. Sound could also travel surprisingly far. Drums, horns, bells, and other instruments were used by different societies to send signals across communities. In areas where people knew the meaning of specific rhythms or sounds, a message could spread from village to village. But sometimes you needed to send an actual message, not just a warning. That's where runners came in. Before modern transportation, specially trained messengers could carry information between settlements. They memorized messages or carried them physically, sometimes passing them between relay stations. Some civilizations developed incredibly efficient messenger systems. The ancient Persian Empire, for example, created a network of roads and relay stations that allowed messages to travel across enormous distances much faster than ordinary travelers could manage. The Romans also developed extensive roads and messenger networks, allowing military orders and political information to move throughout their empire. But ancient communication wasn't limited to land. At sea, sailors needed ways to communicate between ships and with people on shore. Flags, lights, horns, and gestures could convey basic instructions, especially when ships were too far apart to communicate by voice. And then there were written messages. Once writing systems developed, information could be recorded on clay tablets, papyrus, parchment, wood, or other materials. A messenger could carry that information across huge distances, preserving details that would otherwise be forgotten. But perhaps the most fascinating part is what happened when these methods were combined. Imagine a warning beginning with a signal fire on a distant hill. Another settlement sees it and creates its own fire. Then another. Within a relatively short time, information could travel across a large region without a single person needing to cross the entire distance. Of course, ancient communication wasn't instant, and it wasn't always reliable. Weather could hide smoke. Darkness could make visual signals impossible. A messenger could get lost, intercepted, or delayed, and without a shared code, a signal could mean absolutely nothing to the person receiving it. Yet these systems allowed ancient societies to coordinate armies, warn communities of danger, organize trade, and maintain connections across enormous distances. Today, we can send a message around the world in less than a second. Our ancestors had to look toward the horizon, light a fire, beat a drum, or send someone running. The technology was primitive compared with ours, but the goal was exactly the same. Someone, somewhere, had something to say, and they needed to make sure someone else heard it. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more fascinating stories about how humans lived, survived, and changed the world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.